Welcome. This is the Simply King podcast. This is your boy Rodney Perry King himself, and you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans simply being humans. And today I have in studio a great guest that I'm so glad to talk to. So glad that you're feeling good too. You know what I'm saying? Because I swear, look, hey, COVID's still out here.
Right.
Get your Germ-X, get your things, get them right. You know what I'm saying? Get it right. You know. But no, I have here with me a entrepreneur to her own right, and a just dope ass Chicago native who is all about collaboration. I have here with me, and welcome to all. Let me give me some hand claps in here, get some applause going to Afenya Montgomery. Let's go. Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So first, let's get into who you are and what ICan Collective is as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I said, born and raised. What side of Chicago did you grow up on?
South side all day. South side. It's a thing. We kind of got into like Chicago conversation. So I'm sure you being here, you've noticed that we are real serious about our sides.
Yeah. I like that though.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing because I think it makes sense to me. And I learned so much about kind of the differences and why certain things are different, and like where peoples are from, based off of, because it felt like everybody got a cousin on the west side.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe that's just who I met, but it felt like everybody has like a cousin or a great auntie or something. It's like there's not too far away of a disconnection. And an interview that I had with, shout out to ICan Contreras, who I had on the pod, she told me that a lot of people on the west side were like the last of the people who migrated. So like they were the last wave and they resided on the west side. So that's why she was like, that's why the west side could seem a little more country or whatever.
I was gonna say that, but
I'm saying I ain't from here. This is an observer's take. Why it can seem a little more country or a little more down home in certain moments, while the south side can seem a little more established and a little more, have a little more of a generational presence, which makes sense. It's like your grandma got here in this time, or your great-great-grandma literally, it feels like you never weren't here.
Right.
Versus they can literally go back to be like, no, my grandma came here in like literally the 50s. Right. Something like that. So it makes sense.
The source of our beef too. West siders and south siders, and like us thinking we so refined compared to the west side. It's a mess. Chicago is a mess, but it's fun.
It's funny though. It's funny. And you can tell in real small ways. I've learned that you got to be here to learn that though.
You do. I don't think people get it. Like when we meet people and ask them like what high school you went to, that's the thing. Like, it's a whole thing. What high school, what grammar school, and other places don't do that. They don't necessarily care. They may ask what college you went to or what you study in school. We are asking what school, what side of town. It's serious.
It is. But I think that's about the love of the place.
Yep.
To a certain degree, because I'm like, there ain't too many places you go to where they care about the high school you went to.
No.
Like, if that trumps the college, that trumps the neighborhood, that might trump so many things. And it's like, what school did you go to?
Yes.
Because you might not even live next to your school.
There you go. So many of us didn't. Yeah. So many of us didn't live next to our school. It's so crazy. It's serious about, like, what school kind of defines, like, who you are, how you grew up, what you like. I mean, literally, you've probably seen the memes, like, we have memes that like this school versus that school. It's crazy.
I love it though. I love it though. What school did you go to?
I went to Kenwood.
Kenwood's a good one.
I went to Kenwood. My sister went down the street to Morgan Park.
Oh, not too far.
Not too far.
I love that. So what made you not only have this kind of upbringing, but also make sure that you kind of came back, or if you never left, if you to invest and start a business and be a full-blown entrepreneur and business person here in the city?
Okay, good question. So my family's originally from Ghana, West Africa. And so, but all of myself and my siblings were born and raised here in Chicago. So, yes, we are first gens.
I can imagine how they feel about that.
Right? We are true first gens and true, like, Chicago lovers. Like, I do believe it's the best city that I will ever experience. But at the same time, I think it's important for people to get out and see more than just what you know, and be able to compare those things. So I didn't go far. I went to school at U of I in Champaign-Urbana, so that's like 2 hours away. But when I came back, I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur per se.
Really?
Yeah, never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My background, I went to school for marketing.
Me too.
Oh, look at that. Went to school for marketing, then I wanted to be a fashion stylist. Well, let me say, I wanted to be a lot of things growing up. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like that.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who have a creative bend to us. We tend to want to be a ton of things. Like, once upon a time, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a fashion stylist. But I actually worked in retail management and like fashion buying and stuff like that for a while. Then to make a long story short, I actually went into the nursing field after that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I got any interview. Yeah.
So your laugh is so infectious. You make me keep laughing.
That's good.
Yeah, that is. So I went to so my mom is a nurse and my dad is a nurse that he did it later in life. Yeah, and so my mom always told me I'd be a nurse, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Never want to do that. And like I said, never want to be an entrepreneur, and here I am, both things. So just tells you how life can be so different from what you expected. But went to my nursing career, ended up getting my bachelor's in nursing, then I got my my master's and my master's in nursing and MBA, and went into like healthcare leadership. Then wanted to start my own business and realized I didn't know the first thing about starting my own business, and started going to all these events and seminars, conferences, all those things you kind of try to go to, meet people and learn more. Realize that there aren't a lot of tools out there for people of color, women, any type of group that they consider to be underserved to start their own business. So I started creating my own events to kind of feature people who had done it. They could share that information. And that's kind of how the ICan was born. So ICan is Innovation, Collaboration, Accountability Network.
I love that. I love that. Accountability.
Yes, huge. So like it also, just like me with all the different things that I wanted to do and went on to do, ICan has taken a lot of different forms. So it went from like events and networking events. Then like that end of that first year, I had a conference where I brought in like more speakers and, had more of a full day. And then so that the idea came about in 2016, kind of launched in 2017. And then in 2019, that's when I decided I should have a space. But that was before the pandemic, and when life was different.
Yeah, when we were all hopeful.
When we were all hopeful. Womp, womp, womp.
We got plenty more. I remember being in 2019, being like, 2020, it's new vision. It's gonna be great. Everybody has the feeling of it's gonna be a great year. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be a year we never seen before, and we got it.
We got it.
We sure got it.
We got it.
We asked for that one.
I can go back
That was the first year I felt like everybody was saying that, because I feel like I used to either me and a group of friends, a few sprinkle of people feeling good about things. It felt like everybody,
no matter what their background was, no matter what you were doing, like whether it was getting a new job or this was clarity, 2020 vision, the hashtags were a thing. And I mean, but you know what 2020 taught me? I've never been one of those people who like, at the beginning of the year, everybody's like, oh, such and such already happened. Throw the year away. And so I feel like 2020 taught us not to connect things to years as much. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta live life as life. We're like, oh my gosh, the first month of such and such year, this happened. I mean, I feel like from 2016 on down, at the beginning of the year, somebody passed away or something happened. Then 2020 came and knocked us all back. Where it's like, is it really the year or is it what you gotta do, right? Yeah. So true. I stopped. I always hated those posts where at the beginning of the year people are already like, I hate this year already. You know what I mean? Now it's like, okay, we already have hated a year as a collective. Now we got to figure out, how to make stuff move no matter what.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the world is happening. It's not happening to you.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
That is so true.
And I think so much about us keeping ourselves into a best place in terms of wellness and just overall, just keeping ourselves up in whatever ways and being in a healthy space and being in a center.
Yes.
It's all about knowing that the world is going to happen. You don't need to help it.
Yes.
Like, you don't need to help the world make your life difficult. So if you do keep I think that's really a goal that everybody should have, to keep their lives in the best space and place, because you didn't realize you didn't know today was going to be the day you get hit by something. You didn't know today was going to be the day you get a flat tire. You didn't know today was going to be the day you were late for something that was really important, and you've never appeared or presented yourself in this way. And now you got to clean this up.
Yeah.
All these various things that have nothing to do with, anything that you can truly control.
Right.
So why help it? And I think for a lot of people who always feel like their lives are in shambles, they got to really take a self-assessment to be like, how am I helping this? And it might be from an energetic standpoint of like, I hate this year and I think it's already shit. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to get any better. And I think that's interesting. But, to bring all of it together and who you are, where you from, and what you created, I think that's something that I noticed immediately about Chicago. Is I came here and I was still very young. I was fresh out of college, and I was coming from a place that was that's still the king of collaboration, being Atlanta, Georgia. And so I already had this bug in me, and I'm fresh out of college, so we already on some collaborative things in college. So in my head, I'm thinking, I'm dating somebody who's born and raised here. She seems to be real busybody too. So she know all these people. So I'm gonna be like, I'm straight. Yeah. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna take over the city. I'm gonna be fine. That was not the case.
Oh my gosh, preach.
That was not the case at all. And I had went through so many weird ups and downs and just self-deprecating moments of feeling like, damn, am I welcome here? Should I even be here? All these various things, because I was just like, damn, why does it feel like it's not really curling over? And I think it was so much happening all at once. It was literally me being an adult, learning that adults don't make friends like that.
That's true.
2, me being into the new world, basically being introduced to the real world in adult life. And then also that happening in a city where it's not transient, where it's not made for the transplants. It's a city that's made for the people who've already had some skin in the game, who've already been here. I can imagine, and I've heard, anecdotes from people who've lived here for decades plus and who moved here for whenever they did, start to become just as acclimated as anybody who's been a lifelong, Chicago resident. So it's like, oh, okay, so that's really what it is. It's really not a place you come to get whatever you need and then go. You have to come and live in it. You got to come and be immersed. You got to come and actually show up, show your face, do the work. You do. To really be able to move and progress certain things. Unless, only cheat code I've seen is people who've already come with something established. Yep. I'm already a person. I'm already a person who has influence in this industry or in this thing, and I'm relocating to Chicago. They give
jump on.
Yeah, because I think that's more to do with kind of like a black clean household effect. It's like, we don't want you to think that you ain't having a good time with us. Right. We know you. We know you was coming. Right. We don't want you to think our house dirty. Yeah, we gonna make a cake. Do you need anything? You good? Yeah. You all right? All right, I'm gonna tell you where to go. Yeah. You gonna come with me to this, okay? And we gonna make sure you good. Yeah. Where you staying? All right, this is what you need to do if you staying over there. All those different things. But if you the average Joe Blow, like myself, I was told when I first moved here, I was told a bunch of things I shouldn't do. And nothing about what I could.
See, I do hate that though.
I don't like it either, but I knew,
it is what it is.
And I knew it came from a space of safety and care and concern, but it was just also but I need the other thing. Yeah. So where should I go if I'm into this? Where should I if you know me well enough, it's like, oh, I think you should go hang out over there. I think you should go to these types of events. I think you should connect with this particular group, collective, whatever, join this club, go to this meetup, whatever it is, and you'll probably make way a little bit better. For me, I had to really just thug it. Right. And figure shit out and try things out. And it was weird. because I for one never had to work that hard to win people over. Right. So that was new for me. But on top of that, it came down to me learning how much of it was just a cultural thing. It was it's not like anybody had anything personally against me. They treated everybody that way. Yeah. Anybody knew.
And honestly, it's crazy because for me, I had a similar experience, and I'm from here. And the reason was...
And that's what made me finally stop thinking it was a me thing. Once I started meeting and networking with people and folks who were from here, was like, shit, I don't be knowing where to go. I don't be knowing where the things are. I know. And I was like, I'm born and raised. I don't be knowing. I'm out the loop. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy because And you hit it on the head, though, if you come from somewhere else or if you're here and you're established in a certain way. So, like I said, I had all that corporate world background.
Yeah.
So I'm stepping into this entrepreneur world, and I know a lot of people, but I don't know them on that side. So I had to get to know all these people from that end, and then knowing who like a lot of time investment on, like, I'm building these relationships and all that. And relationships are always good, but I'm trying to get somewhere, but it's a whole lot of swimming through some murky water, trying to figure out who's really there for you and there to, like, help you grow, see you prosper, versus people who just, don't really care. You know what I mean? It's like, what you got? What can you do for them? So I do agree with you with the Chicago thing, and me, like, I felt like a lot of people knew my brother because first, he's younger and he was in the scene. Like, he was in media.
Yeah.
And so, like, everybody knew him. I came, back from school, and then on top of coming back, I was corporate, so I didn't have to go meet people or figure, right? And then
you're not trying to move around.
I wasn't trying.
You already making money. You going to work. You living life.
I had no idea that it was a thing. Like, I had to relearn Chicago because I was so used to going places, and they're like, oh, because I went to a grade school that was very in the mix of the Chicago network. High school, very much in the mix. And then college, U of I, everybody from Chicago, if they didn't leave, they went to U of I. Yeah. So, like, I knew a ton of people. Yeah. But again, not in that. So I had to get to know people all over again. And yeah, I had that whole thing. Like, is it a me thing? It's a big thing. It is.
Yeah. But it took me a while not to. It took me. I went from, like, blaming the city to blaming myself to becoming indifferent to now where I'm at, where I'm in a way more comfortable place, and realize how much of it has to do with my particular effort and involvement in certain things, and just how I'm showing up in those spaces. Yeah. And being bold enough to come by myself and not making that an issue. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, you can be petrified if you move in, and not even just Chicago, just when you move into any new space or place for work, or you relocate and you don't know anybody in that city. Yeah. The worst thing that happened to me was that I'm a social person that became a hermit. And that shit fucked me up. Yeah. Because it was like, I never had felt this way before, where I'm, like, afraid to go out, or because I'm not even thinking about if I know where to go. It's like, all right, I know this seems like something I would be into.
But who am I talk to?
Who I'm gonna talk to? How does that look after a while? It's like, oh, who you come here with? Yeah. Even if the conversation's going good, it's like, I came by myself. Yeah. and hope that they don't judge me. Yeah. All that shit petrified the hell out of me until I learned how to get out my own way with that and approach things in a different way, and just know and be good and have an intention and a perspective that, like, suited everything that I needed from all the interactions that I made. And never setting those expectations too high. Yes. Because I think that's what fucked me up. I'm thinking that, like, oh yeah, this guy, he does this, he does that. We gonna link, we gonna have a lunch meeting, and I'm gonna talk to him, and we gonna be vibey, we gonna be working. He needs somebody like me.
Like me.
And then he meet me in it, and it seems like it's great. And then I'm like, damn, I don't know if it really works. I don't know, right? I don't know if he really feels what I felt.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You don't know if it worked. And then, like, elephant in the room is always like, how does this lead to the money for both of us? And you can't. Sometimes you never get to that space with the. You know what I mean? But you see them getting the money, or perception can be everything. Yeah. But no, you see them getting the money with somebody else. With somebody else.
It's like, damn, why? Like, what's wrong with me? I'm valuable.
I'm valuable.
I can make some money with y'all.
Why you sleeping? Right?
And I think that's been the vindicating moments for me in my time here in Chicago, is when it's people that I've met already, that I meet 2-3 more times, and then they finally notice me.
That's how it works.
They finally notice me, and they're like, damn, bro, you do all this?
Right.
And I'm like,
then the lights come on.
And then I was like, I know I've told you this 2-3 times, and the 2-3 times I met you, we've had short, small talk.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
How it is.
And it's like, when I don't know what else to say, or just meeting, or just kind of like reconnecting with certain people, And you know how it is when you see people like, it was like, bro, I was just thinking about you. I need to hit you up. I seen what you posted. I'm like, bro, I need to hit him up. He on the type of time I'm trying to be on. I'm like, hit me up.
Right.
I'll hit you up. Right. Hit me up. Like, let's make it happen.
Yes.
And I think it's the comfortability too.
Yeah.
And we can move to this next point, but okay. I feel like because Chicago is such a home, like a real homey type of place. Mm-hmm. You know, it's very down home. It feels like a space where you can just really live out all the things you want to live out. If you want to live a real suburban existence, you want to live a city existence and like urban life. Yep. If you want to, kind of just get into a particular scene or pick up a particular, hobby or craft or whatever it is, it really has that for you. Yep. And you can do all those things. So I can see a world why so many lifelong Chicagoans or people who've moved here and became that do that. And I think it's because the city is so insulated to a point to where it's endless discovery. Like, I meet people all the time where I tell them about places I've went or things I've done, and they be like, I never even done that. Yep. And I was like, I've been living here all my whole life. I ain't never even done that.
Chicagoans, we good for that.
Yeah. I was like, I ain't even go to that side of town until I was an adult. Or whatever it was.
No, you're
and it'd be like, okay, it makes sense now. And in my mind, it's like, how much more love can you have for a place if all it took was a section of it to make you fall in love with it. So of course you're gonna love it decade for decade for decade, year to year to year that you live here and keep discovering more of a place that you've already been sold on. Right. So it makes sense to me. So I'm not even arguing that there's something wrong with the pride of Chicagoans. I think it's beautiful. And I think it's beautiful because it's so damn black too. Yeah. And I think that's a big reason why contentment is so high here. Because it's similar to, I think it's similar to HBCU in a way where when I learned that so many black people that I met went to like majority black schools from like grade school to high school. Yep. And really they didn't start going with school with other white people or just different types of folks until college.
Super
and I'm like,
segregated here.
I was like, it makes sense now. Yeah. Because why would you see life in a way that's aspirational if you're living in existence that a lot of people in the United States aren't even living in, where they have, because most people have to kind of cohabitate. And even in cities as large as, even cities larger than Chicago.
Oh yeah, like New York. It's such melting pot.
Yeah, you're going to be with everybody.
You're going to be with everybody.
Like, your neighborhood majority might be Dominican, your neighborhood majority might be Puerto Rican or black or Muslim or Jewish. But you're still gonna be with a little bit of everybody. Yeah. Everybody trying to find a good apartment. Yeah, right. Good point. So as soon as they get up there, it's like, oh, you right. So it makes sense. But I feel like, collaboration is something that I think is intriguing here. And I think you getting into that space, because I feel like co-working has become one of the trendiest things to hit, the late 2010s. Yeah. With such viral sensations and somewhat problematic sensations like the reworks and things like that, but also just various different office spaces kind of redefining what they allow to happen with people outside of their office communities. Yeah. Tell me about what's this kind of like the importance of like creating that, you getting that space and allowing it to be a co-working space for business people and just anybody who can get that. Yeah. So that was the thing. I couldn't find spaces I was always looking for spaces to host my events. Always looking for places that were like, welcoming to people of color. And not just like you can have your event here, but I mean down to the art and the look, the feel, the vibe. And so I noticed in other places there were spaces like that, and also in other communities, but not just that, just other a place that I really look at is Soho House. Yeah. So the vibe of a Soho House, but with the welcoming of that down home vibe you're talking about, that culture piece, I think is missing from a lot of spaces. And like you brought up WeWork. Really, WeWorks are beautiful, but they can also be sterile, right? Like it can be very much like, here's the office, here's the space, super quiet. So it's like, how can we get those vibes? And and honestly, I really want a space to have my own events, but also allow people to have
similar types of events. People who were looking for that done for you type of experience, wanted to supply that for people. So like you come in, and then I wanted to be South and West. So I'm in South Loop, which is pretty accessible from different sides of the city. Because I did know that, like, okay, the West Side and South Side, you know, we got that thing. So if you too far south or you too far west, people like, that's far. I ain't going over there, you know?
Yeah. And then I definitely took a few pilgrimage to the West Side. It's a hike.
It's a journey.
Yeah,
it's a journey. And it's like, you know, and then being like, so it's like, you know, South Loop is like pseudo downtown. So, you know, you're there where people can get to you and there's still a vibe. You know, other places that I was interested in, Bronxville, High Park, you know, those types of places. I would love to one day come, you know, further south and do like a huge building that had different things going on within it. Yeah. But, you know, that's all... COVID still, like you said, COVID still ain't gone yet. Yeah. It's a thing. So, like, to your point, once 2020 hit, kind of like the vision I had to change. So it really became a space where people just had these intimate events. Because you no longer could be next to somebody that you didn't know. Yeah. And so now I'm in the process of looking at how I can build back that community vibe now that people are more interested in coming out and being, you know, maybe meeting somebody new and not being like scared to death that they're going to breathe on you.
No, that's real. And honestly, I think there's going to be a wave. I predict a wave of like novelty that comes from not only like in-person events, but also just things that just feel real. Yeah. Like artisan things, you know? Yes. I feel like all those things are going to become a thing because we're getting more virtual. Right. Like, if anything, yes, 2020 happened and pandemic happened, but regardless of that, we still were like VR and augmented reality and all these various things were things prior to COVID. Those are technologies that were still being worked to, and now it's even more of a reality with like things like the metaverse and things like that. So in my mind, I'm like, if more people have to literally do business, do work, even whatever it may be, with these digital things, meaning, because even with the pandemic, honestly, I see it as a gift of the pandemic, the whole work from home culture now. How it's boomed and how it's increased, how companies who have committed to being 100% work from home now, and or have some type of hybrid situation, and a lot of people standing their ground on like, no, that's the only way I'm gonna work. Right. And I love that. I love that for the people. And I think that alone, all those things will make it real easy for people who have like restaurants and cool events where people can actually gather and be in spaces are going to be even better. Because it's like you already spend so much time at home now. You're not spending time in, you know, because you have less social interaction. Yes. More virtual interaction. Yeah. And so you will want to, you know, turn the screens off. Yeah. You will want to just talk to a person in person. Yes. And enjoy some things in person. So in my mind, I feel like, yes, I can see the world being more health conscious, but at the same time being like, I'm going to still go out there, though. Right, I'm going to bring my German.
I was just going to say, have it lined up.
I'm going to bring my mask
if I feel comfortable. Option, yes.
But I'm going to go. Yeah. Because I want to still make those connections and make it make sense, you know? I really feel like co-working spaces are really, really necessary for Black people because I find it almost like, not even discouraging, but it's always like a surprise to me when I meet new Black people who might not know something that I thought that I've already categorized in my mind to be like, oh yeah, everybody knows. Right. And it could be a myriad of different things, topics, and it's usually just related to things around Blackness. Just like, oh, that's not a thing everybody knew. Right. Oh, well, okay. I see how far we really got to go. But I feel like if we create spaces and places to where, you know, these high level and low level conversations. I think, you know, a lot of people want to have these, you know, empowerment brunches and things like this where it's people who are already established or people who already have things. Yeah. But it's like there's so many levels. You gotta talk to people who are like still on the fence.
What it used to say, next to you, network next to you.
That's it. That's
way
more lateral. Yep. And if anything, it feels better. Yep. It's a lot less pressure to yourself when you are pitching up.
Yep.
When you're trying to get the dollar grant dollars or get some type of buy-in from something that's bigger than you that has all this decision-making power, and vice versa. Let's say you are that person who approves those grants. And there are people who are part of your community pitching these things to you. Like, I don't think they're gonna get this.
All the time. Some people aren't ready for it, and they want that. Like people start at 100. I remember, I did a lot of research before going into the entrepreneurial world because, like I said, I didn't know anything. Yeah. But a lot of people that I met would be like, "Oh, I'm looking for funding," and I started my idea yesterday, and it's like, when you're looking at somebody to give you investment, it's like they want to know how they're going to make their money. Depending on the type of investment, they want to know how they're going to make their money back. Mm-hmm. And so, if you don't have a plan and a strategy in place, you might not be ready. So maybe it's about you meeting somebody who's on your same level and just talking through things first. Yeah. Everything doesn't have to be like the big pitch yet. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. And I feel like that's so paramount into like us growing and becoming better and sharing certain things. I believe, if people put that effort to make sure that everybody around them is moving up right alongside them, then it makes sense. Yes. And you know who I feel like does it the best? Black women.
Hey.
Like that, right? Yes. I really truly think that Black women deserve so much more in this world because I think I've had a lot of Black women on my podcast and I've learned so much from them from a standpoint of being a citizen, being American, being patriotic, being selfless, innovative, sacrificing, and and all those various things. It's like, damn, Black women really do be hitting on all these cylinders in a lot of ways, and it's sad that we still are arguing about, the protection of and all these various things. I think it's unfortunate that we have those things happening all at once. Yeah. You literally have Black women being the largest class of new entrepreneurs and some of the most educated demographics, but yet they are also still the ones being, not still one of the ones who are giving opportunities, make the least amount of money in certain corporate spaces, occupy the least amount of spaces in terms of just high level access to certain things, and just even on a social level still not appreciated. It's a trip to me, but I think I've learned so much, and I think that Black women have done the sense of collaborating so well. I think from a standpoint of I think it comes by product of survival too. I think always Black women have always leaned into each other because they already believe I already know what you're going through. Right. I already know what it is. Right. And so there's always going to be this more than likely a helping hand if they see themselves in you. And I think that inversely, for Black men in most cases, it's a mixed bag. It's really depending on who you are to them and what how they feel, and egos can play a big role into it, because if it seems like you're about to get something a little easier than what they did when they were in that same position, they might not help you as quickly. It's look, I had to earn my stripes.
Yep,
so,
you got to earn yours.
You got to earn yours.
You got to walk through
the
fire. And it's like, man, can you help me get to the end a little bit quicker than I would have? It don't mean I ain't got to work.
Right? While I hear stories of Black women in HR roles, basically tapping that interviewee, being like, "Hey, you underselling yourself, baby."
Right. There's more money in the budget.
There's more money in the budget. Just things like that happening, even on that we don't even know each other level.
Right.
But from a truly close, intimate, platonic spaces, I see way more women doing things like investing in each other's businesses, finding out ways to help each other, making sure that they assist each other in whatever ways, and just also keeping them well-rounded. It's girl, come work out with me. You always talking about you don't have time to work out. I go all the time. Or I am a trainer. I will train you. Or I am an accountant. I can, start your bookkeeping. I can do all these various things and play into those particular roles and truly forever just big each other up. Yep. And I think that does wonders. Does wonders. And I think men emulate those spaces. To me, I feel like I only see it when people have already kind of crossed a few lines, already got through a few barriers of entry, and now we are, I'm somebody now, and now I'm able to have peers. Right. Now people are letting me in, But from the ground,
That's true.
It feels like I really do gotta like show and improve to then get somebody to really believe in me, to really get somebody to invest their time in me. Mentors.
Yep.
I feel like women naturally have mentors, even if they don't even see them as that.
Yeah. But there are women that are like paving the way for them.
And are just on your ass and just doing these particular things, while I talk to men all the time asking them those things like, how many mentors do you have? Yeah. And me being a person who doesn't feel like I have many. Yeah. It's like, I was like, but for the people who have them, I was like, how did you get them? And usually it's by way of something very specific, either frat or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, damn, we really need to like.
That's true.
We really need to like talk more to each other. Yeah. And not expect anything from it. Just out of the sake of just being there to guide, or out of the sake of being there to just advise in whatever way that makes sense.
You sound like ICan, and you could do like an event for men. Sounds like, because people always ask me like, why don't you have events for men? And you know, when I started, I did a lot of the ICan Collective was super co-ed. That was the point. Yeah. But men weren't necessarily coming. Yeah. But I know it's because I don't speak to men, and it's not purposely. Yeah. It's just, you know what I mean? Men speak to men, women speak to women, even though you can always mix that up. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the experiences that you can speak to them best, and another guy would be like, you know what I mean? So like, I would love to do more events that are like male focused, because they don't really exist either. You know, to your point, the reason why women are like that, especially in recent years, we have the brunches, we have the, you know, the women's empowerment events, we have the girlfriend, hey girl, hey podcast brunches and all that stuff, you know. So I think creating a space for, I've seen like one male summit that I've seen
in Chicago. Yes. Yeah. It's pretty big too.
Yeah, it's pretty big. That's like the one big male focus.
But I think the part for me is I have reservations about a lot of things that are. Because usually those particular male-centered things are either led by business people or the church, one or the other. And so you're either talking about work and commerce or spirituality, work and commerce. Yeah. It's usually not ever a part.
Creative, just chill, mixer.
It's always a little bit more stuffier than it has to be. Yeah. And there's never a conversation about personhood and humanity in these spaces where men gather. And I think that's what has to happen. Yeah. And I think that's what always resonates the most to people. It's like, look, I don't want to, because in my mind, for the people that I feel like I've connected to, the people who've called me their mentor in any way, shape, or form, from college to now, I'm worried about who you are more than anything. Right. I already know society gonna make you work forever. Right. I know society gonna make you feel like you have to have this like big weight on your shoulders. So I need you to already disconnect and detach from these societal kind of connotations so that you can be peaceful. Right. Because it's gonna affect everything that you do. Yeah. You won't be emotional because you feel like I gotta work 80 hours a week to be able to exist. Yeah. Because that's what they sold you on. You're not somebody because you haven't figured out or haven't gotten these particular goals, reached this particular net worth, so on and so forth. Right. When that doesn't have anything to do with the person that you are. Right. And you're just making all this money not liking yourself. Yeah. And I think that so much time spent in like official and unofficial social settings where women come together, there's a lot more emotional and energetic exchange. Yeah. And I remember dating someone, and just it was like an epiphany for me. I was like, there's no male equivalent to what y'all are doing right now. And she was basically, her and her friend basically scoured the city looking for something very specific from a beauty supply store. And they were going to gather all these things and have them a hair day. Yeah. And she was the one who really needed it, and the other one was just going to do some touching up to her thing. Yeah. And what was funny to me is like, so she's really just there for moral support, and y'all basically kind of just, you know, doing the thing.
And that's normal for us.
Right? That's, and I'm like, so there is not anything that I can say is something that's the equivalent. No. Where it's like, I'm here just to support you, to braid you, to help you braid your hair, to do whatever it is. I was like, I don't think I've ever. It's either we are playing the game, doing a sport, or trying, or just it's never just being.
Yeah, you coming together for the game that's showing the Super Bowl, the fight, the this, the that. It's an event type of thing, and then not necessarily like, hey, bro, what you doing? Man, I'm finna go shopping. Like, and then there's a connotation. Dude's got like, I ain't about to just go shopping with him, but you could. It don't have to be a thing. Yeah. But it's what's that? It's just I don't know. It's not as harsh as toxic masculinity, but it's just like the way people are like have been raised to feel about.
Yeah, I think men are socialized in the weirdest way. Yeah, and I think I've learned over time how I've like been drawn to doing a different thing and how it feels a little bit better once you try it on. It just does. It's like damn. Oh, so that's an option. I don't have to do that. Oh, that's not a thing. And honestly, it's been women who has taught me to like let go. It's like you know you have an option, right? Like, you don't have to do this because it's an expectation,
right?
And the expectation can be followed or not. Right. But what do you want to do?
Right?
Because ultimately, people just want you to do what you want to do.
What you want to do,
and that's what people are gonna always judge you on anyway.
Yeah.
But if you made a decision based off what you believed everybody feels like you should do, then who's running your life?
Yep.
You or the world?
Yep.
And I think that a lot of men kind of fall into that in a lot of ways at every age and every level.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I think it can be changed.
Yeah.
I think it can be shifted if the conversations are actually happening. Because for me, I think that's always been my biggest thing, and I think that's what made so many different men attracted to my content. Because they're like, what made you start doing this?
Yeah.
Or what made you start doing that? Or why do you say this like this? And I tell them, and they were like, damn, that kind of makes sense. And I was like, yeah. Or just giving them things that they thought they could never just unthink. I remember doing a episode or a clip about how it's a choice to be a protector and a provider. And a guy was like, no, it ain't. That's just what it's with a man. And I was like, is it?
Right.
I was like, so for all the single moms who were protecting and providing, those were men doing that?
Right.
Or were those mothers?
Yeah.
And she was like, I mean, I guess if you put it that way. And I was like, so these are actions we're talking about. Yeah. These are actions that are based in, utility to the, support of other people. That is not the sole makings of who you are.
Right.
And the reason why the best example is the reason why so many granddaddies are so damn surly and so mean is because all they did was go make money. Yeah. Have a gun. Yeah. And fix shit.
Yep.
And when it comes down time to celebrate them, they getting a tie. Yeah. They getting because that's what everybody expects for them to do. But also too, nobody knows who he is. Yeah. Because he don't have time for nobody.
He's not able to have emotions.
He's not able to have emotions. He worked their whole life. He always just provided. He was present, but not present emotionally. Right. And so now when he's older, he's mad because he's like, y'all don't even really care about me, so fuck y'all. Right. That's how he feels. Yeah. But it's a twofold. It's like he had to open up, but he also had to like let it be known that this is who I am, and this is how I want to be treated. Yep. I'm not just a person who's just gonna be paying bills and y'all not care about me. I'm a person. Yep. And so if you lean into the idea of this is all that a man is, and that's all that you'll ever be. Yeah. And you can't get mad that people will only expect that out of you. Yep. Because that's what it is.
Do you think it's changing for men? A little bit? New generation?
I think new generation, yes. And I think even for people who are in previous generations are learning that they may have done things incorrectly or maybe had a weird kind of short-sightedness in terms of their outlook. I think that all the conversations about, tables and furniture and what you bring into it is truly, to me, the attempt in trying to shift the paradigm. Because I feel like it's conversations and it's questions that are being asked that I don't think were asked at this particular like intensity. So I think men are trying. I think men are trying to learn how to self-advocate. They're having issues. They're having problems. They're having grievances that I think are close to being very valid. I think it's just the vocabulary and the inner work that's needed for it to really curl over and make sense. When I hear men say things like, "What are women bringing to the table?" It's because I think there's to me, I see it as a dog whistle inadequacy. If you as a black woman who is an entrepreneur, who has your own things, who has your own business, has your own space in South Loop, and you have a man who has a great job, he likes his job and it is what it is, makes good money, and he looks at you and it's like, damn, so you home, you got a lot going on. How can I add to that? Oh, what do you need from me?
There's nothing you need.
And there's this idea of need, and as if want and desire are so minimal.
Yeah.
When it's like, understand that like that is still very high.
Yeah.
Because a person with options means that they've been able to create a life that they have options.
Right.
So if they choose you, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter of wanting there to be some balance. It's like, I know I have to work.
Yeah.
Forever. I'm the society I live in, I'm heteronormative, all these various things. I have to provide and and I don't like it. Right. I think a lot of men don't like it. They don't like it because of just their gender that they assign and they claim that they have to pay for everything. Yeah. They have to do everything. Yeah. So in their mind, the quote unquote question of what are you bringing to the table? It's like, how can you help me with this money?
Right. Share this burden a little bit.
Share this burden. Because it does not feel good that I got to provide so much.
Or at least be somebody's peace. Like, you know what I mean? Figure out the person you with. Who are they, you know?
And I think that's to me, I think it's people don't have the language. They haven't done the inner work. And what it sounds like is just a bunch of angry men on mics complaining about shit women is doing. And they haven't even cleaned up their own things and cleaned up the men around them too. Yeah. Because that's where, and I think that's why all those arguments going to always fall short. Because none of the men start off by saying, I know men who do this terribly. Yeah. And then I'll say what I got to say about what I think women do. Yeah. It's always, see, this is the problem these days. Right. With y'all.
Because a lot of
y'all don't respect men. Y'all don't let men be men. And it be all this, all this ha. Yeah. When it's like, bro, like, do you know the numbers on all these things in terms of domestic violence, in terms of all these various things of women speaking to the kind of psychological abuse and emotional abuse, and just the various ways that men have always moved the goalpost in terms of how we behave publicly, how we behave socially? We ain't talking about it enough. Right. So it's going to be a thing. Yeah. We're never going to win an argument on the internet if you don't come with that level of like overall accountability. Yeah. Even if you don't have the answers, it's like, hey, look, I don't like that shit is happening. Yeah. I don't want that to happen to y'all, but this is my grievance. Yeah. But if you never bring it up, if it's always an afterthought or something really horrific has to come, where that's the only time I ever hear men try to quote unquote hold men accountable. It's like, hey y'all, how in the hell could y'all be doing this? Y'all, this man went and shot this woman. How could y'all do that? Right. And it's like,
but you got it. Where did it start?
Yeah.
Where did it start?
Yeah, it's a whole lot of men with that's that man's business mentality until
it's something
detrimental.
And of course, how you not going to get there?
How you not going to get there? And I believe that if we don't, get it together. Yeah. I think black women have historically always been by our sides, but I think our days are numbered with that.
Have you been seeing or hearing those podcasts with the guys that are like, we hate black women and y'all need to die?
And that's not helping. That's not helping because these people have, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people listening to them on a consistent basis. So that means there are a lot of black men who feel those exact same ways. And I've done I believe I did an episode called was it The Hate You Give or The Hate I Have or something like that. Mm-hmm. Check it out, featuring V. Great episode that I had, and it was breaking that down as to like this internal subconscious hate that I think a lot of men have based off of that one example I gave about the fact that there is this societal burden that if you are a man that you basically have to work to live and also work enough to provide for additional people. And like that's so much. Yeah. Like I can take care of myself. Oh, but I got to work more than I have to surplus, right? So that I can take care of you and anything that comes out your body from us, right? Like that. I think it's okay to ask yourself and have issues with that, have problems with that, because it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. But I think it has to be kind of approached in that real, genuine way of like, I don't like it. Yeah. I don't like the way this is. Yeah. I'd rather it be more balanced, but this is what it is. Yeah. And vocalizing it at least is the first step in you feeling a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
You know? But I think I don't think that black women would ever give up on us.
Not 100%. That ain't happening.
No, I think black men are just acting out.
Yeah. Because
they don't have the knowledge. I think black men's level of self-hate is a lot higher than I think what's presented.
Right.
I just think the way that we present it
looks like an arrogant, confident man. And
but in reality, it's really us. It's really us like giving up on ourselves and giving up on our overall the aspects of our humanity.
Right.
And I think that so much of it is a void that we really need to fill and we need to get into and like love and get into in a multifaceted way. Because there's so many men who, you know, don't like their bodies. So many men who don't like their skin.
Right.
So many men who don't like the fact that, you know, how they look or that they feel some sense of insecurity.
But we only talk about it with women. You know?
We only talk about it with women. We only talk about the way that women project it too. I remember R.I.P. to Aisha Fines, who gave me the best perspective on an episode of The Grapevine where they were talking about like surgery and things like this and just that trend. Blew my mind for her to say we can't tell people what self-love looks like for them. You know, and that really just shut me up about that because I feel like forever it's always been like a debatable topic.
Right.
Like, are you for it? Are you against it?
Right.
What are the things? And I think I've always had my reservations from more of a health perspective.
Yeah.
And and like a societally, like once you do this, it's gonna cause attention.
Right.
And it might not be the attention you want, but we know that it is.
Right.
So what is it that you really want to get from this?
Right.
And when they just continuously stated like we can't judge what somebody's self-love looks like. So if they choose to do this, we got to make room for that.
Right.
Because they wanted to see themselves differently.
Right.
And they did it to the point to where they literally changed their bodies.
Right.
And the impact of that can be a lot less, be a lot more gentle. Instead of it being like, what's wrong? Who you trying to get attention from? Whatever. Was nothing wrong with you. Instead of asking ourselves, what is it that we're telling and we're projecting onto the world that people feel like maybe they aren't enough and this is what they may have to do. And also just question the idea of somebody having the option to look different and they just want to. And not even being that emotionally, deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to make room for both.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting.
It is.
It's interesting. But would you say that in terms of black women in leadership and black women in high spaces that as that changes and as that increases over time, that will improve things from a societal perspective? Because I theorize that it will. Yeah.
And back to what you said about, having that built-in mentor and having that, also killing that thing where, for a long time there was I don't want to work for a black woman or I don't want to work with a black woman and women hate each other and all these narratives. And I think a lot of it came from us not even being able to see that. Yeah. To see somebody that looks like you in that high space, it just sounded and seemed so impossible. Yeah. And now, to your point, I'm seeing more. I remember once upon a time, if there was a person of color at the top or close to the top, it was going to be a man. Yeah. I'm seeing more women, of course, going for it and getting those roles. And, we can start to write our own story. Mm-hmm. We can start to, and I do think that on both sides, women should uplift men should uplift women. So, if we're able to pull in that brother as well, you know what I mean? We need to also, that's why I was joking about, having mixed events, though. But, we need to not isolate from each other because that's another method of division, right? Isolating, I'm not telling you how much I'm making. You not telling me how much I could have made and all this stuff and or I'm gonna help this woman because women need it. I think sometimes we forget that men also need that. Black men, we also gotta pull our black man up. We women, black women historically, like you said, highest educated, all these skill sets. We gotta start making it so that we as a culture are moving in these directions with each other because that's what's gonna strengthen those relationships and maybe kill some of that. I hate you. I'm getting rid of the black man, and the black man getting rid of the black woman. Yeah. You know what I
Yeah, I think that's really real. That's so real. It has to be less coddling, because I think a lot of women spend a lot of I think a lot of women, black women, have given up on black men because they spend so much time doing something that did not aid in them being more enriched people.
Yeah.
It was really about them continuously perpetuating the already existence that they already were having.
Yeah.
And that being one where it was not having to be accountable or having a particular, wavering sense of emotional availability.
Yeah.
But it's like, if we teach a sense of like emotionality, we teach a sense of expression, healthy expression, understand and introduce vulnerability as something that's healthy and like required in humanity, because it's gonna happen at various levels in various ways. Like it's a very vulnerable thing that, a lot of women do, to just invite people in. Just the idea of having a whole day where we just are doing each other's hair. Mm-hmm. And I think people always see vulnerability as something that's, I'm crying and it's deep. Mm-hmm. But it's real small acts of vulnerability too. Mm-hmm. And to allow for somebody to literally come into your hair and do things to it.
Yeah.
And you be okay with that.
Yeah.
And you walk out the house with that.
Yep.
You trust them for that.
Yep.
That they're using the right chemicals. They're using the right products. They're doing the right things.
And we've been doing that since we were kids. So it's nothing to us. Like that we don't even think about it in that way. We just, women been doing that. You 7 years old, your friend do your hair. Or, your cousin does your hair, whatever the case may be. So we have to start normalizing things and starting things off early and in different ways for everyone.
I agree. I agree. I think the last thing that I wanted to, touch on was just safe spaces. And I think it's perfect in segue into this is I think that what you created was a safe space, even if that wasn't the intention. Mm-hmm. Because I think safe spaces, I think is a buzzword, but I think it's one that's necessary because we live in a world now where we can't talk about everything in every type of space. You have to be extremely educated or people are going to shame you. Mm-hmm. You have to be informed. You have to be equipped. You have to have all these things. Just like I said earlier about the, the high level conversations and the high teas and the big major empowerment brunches where it's like so many women can feel so intimidated or feel like they don't fit the bill to be in those spaces and places when they do have the ingenuity to be in those spaces and places. And I think inversely, that's what happens with a lot of male-centered events. They be real stuffy, they be real big, and they be real grand. And essentially, they're all about a very skewed sense of what masculinity can be expressed to be, and also and what success is. It's really attached to labor. It's really attached to kind of grind culture and no real true balance or a holistic wellness piece to it, and it's exclusionary. So if you're a man that appears a little bit more feminine, or if you're a part of the LGBTQ+I community, that's not a space that you can be in because they're saying things and doing things that really don't really align with who you are as a person. So it ends up being a situation where you have 1,000 men in the room and maybe 100 of them really feel comfortable. Right. Because they all are kind of aligned with everything that's being said. You have another, probably 500 that's just agree with everything they say because they somebody that has some money. They got money. I think it's always interesting when I see men online defending white billionaires. And I was like, bro, you're never going to be Jeff Bezos. Yeah. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of like you could never be worth $200 billion.
You won't be that person. Yeah. Yeah.
Trust and believe. They will probably try their best to legitimize you. If in the current state of the world we live in, if you made that much money, they're gonna be like, so he stole it. Yeah. Something happened. Ain't no way in hell how did that happen? African American man made $200 billion from doing whatever he did. Nobody know.
And some of that gonna come from people that look like you. There's
like
that
who you
too.
kill.
Who you what you sell.
What you see that they don't want nobody to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We see you all them bodyguards.
They gonna kill him.
He the Black Epstein.
Right.
He got an island in there. Yeah. And I really feel like men need more of those spaces too, and that's why I applaud you on creating that space for not only because it's a very multifaceted energetic thing to do is being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You got your whole sense of self is in this thing. Like,
tell me about it.
Like a mental health day.
Yeah.
Like, a mental health day really can affect the bottom line.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
you ain't
you gotta
right.
show up every day. You gotta
gotta
keep progressing on these particular goals that you have for, yourself.
Yeah.
And like keep creating new infrastructure for yourself, new connections, finding ways to delegate and do other things to make your business more efficient and make more money from that business.
Yes.
And just imagine a world where, if all of our personal issues is all about our habits and breaking those habits and getting out our own ways, put that with a business.
Yeah.
And imagine that, So I applaud you for like creating a safe space because it's something that is necessary for what we need,
Yeah.
I would say weekend. Let me go to this last segment. Let me go to my sound effects. Where am I at? Here we go. This is my send it on portion. So when you hear this, it's gonna be some like D'Angelo instrumentals in the back of my voice.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna be real smooth. But no, the send it on portion is our call to action segment of this podcast. And what I wanted to know is some of your best practices for networking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you said something that resonated with me. I used to think I was an extrovert. I am not. I am an extroverted introvert.
Come on now.
So when I gotta put it on, I can put it on.
Yeah.
But I get socially drained. So number one best practice, when you're going to an event, figure out your purpose for it. Figure out, is it to meet a particular person? Like, do you know that such and such is speaking, or this certain person is going to be there? Or is it certain content that you want to get? Like, is it a real estate seminar and you want a list of the newest things that are coming onto the market? Whatever that looks like, give yourself a goal. And if you start feeling drained, hit your goal and go. Hit your goal and go. Introduce yourself to that person you came to introduce yourself to. Don't feel like you got to work the entire room every time. That can be a lot. Another thing, since this is a lot of times people aren't necessarily giving business cards out and things like that. Think of a way that you want people to connect with you. Like if it's you want them to follow you on Instagram, have your Instagram ready to go, pop it up. You can do the scan thing now. But figure out how you want people to connect with you. Because I realized, again, I'm an introvert, don't want to be bothered. I don't necessarily want to sit on the phone with folks. So people will call you, and again, they don't necessarily always know what you do, even though you've explained it or whatever. So you may get on the phone a million times with a bunch of people that are not in any way aligned with what you need, or maybe they are, but they just want to talk. Yeah. And that can be a lot, you know what I mean? Especially when you have gone to all these events and you're meeting all these people. So think about the best way for you to connect with someone. Another thing, and then have that thing ready. Like I love IG. Follow each other, send them a message so that you remember them. Because another thing, you collect all these follows and you never see that person in your timeline again and you forget who it was. Yeah. So give yourself something, send them a message relating back to your conversation so that it comes back up again for you when you go into your messages. Another thing, I used to go to every single event because I thought I had to meet every single person. Yeah. So I was working a full-time job. I was downtown. I live all the way in the burbs. And then I would stay after work because maybe the event starts at 6 or 7. Imagine doing that several times a week. And, my commute is an hour in the morning. So you're burning your candle at both ends. And a lot of us will side hustle for a while before we build our business. So you have to learn that balance. So pick events that really relate to what you want to do. Like I'll have an event and people will say, I want to come to your event. And I'm like, if you don't have to, because I'm having something. Like if you're specifically trying to get to a certain point and trying to get certain information, go to the things that relate to that. Yeah. Because you can spend your whole life just, you can burn out really fast going to a ton of things. And then Number one, just be yourself. I think sometimes we put on, we go to events and we're like, yes, hello, I'm,
That's good. That's good. It's like,
hello,
yeah.
nice to meet you. What do you do? And, you think you have to be that. And, I just got rid of all of that. I've changed a million times. Like, once upon a time, I was the person in heels and super dressed up all the time. Man, when I got to like working, a sis gonna have on some jeans and some gym shoes and gonna be chilling, and that does not take away from who you are. So don't think you have to create this persona. And a lot of people have ignored me. You know what I mean? They have treated me different, and I see the difference. Here's the black girl in the room, but I always think about now. This is where you can bring in your inner Bezos, Buffett, and all of them, right?
Yeah.
They ain't going to events with red bottoms on, right? Black turtleneck, jeans, might be the richest person in the room.
That's it.
So never assume. And my brother always says,
looking like a corny poet.
Look at
That's what they always gave me. It was like,
literally, that's exactly the vision you get. So like whatever, because I'm loving your shirt, whatever your vibe is, bring that to the event. Yeah. Like, don't feel like you have to fit into this box and don't fit other people into that box. Don't ignore people. My brother always said, I was going to say that the secretary is the CEO, right? She or he may know where all the skeletons are buried. CEO may not even know what's going on. But that secretary does the calendar. They do the... They set up the meetings, they look at the budget, and they have all this information. So you may go in and have a conversation with what looks like the lowest person on the totem pole, and you may walk out with the meeting that you needed to have while the CEO was too busy to really pay attention to what you were trying to pitch to them. So, just think about those connections and like really put yourself in spaces that are there to nurture you. And, look for free stuff on the internet. Don't start out spending all this money going to these events, $1,000 conferences and all that.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no, don't do that.
There's so many things out there for free you can go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the things that are like smaller.
I love an intimate event.
Yeah, you want it to be smaller. I get the attractiveness of certain particular conferences and certain things. It's like, it's in this location, and it's da-da-da, and such and such is there, and they're gonna have blah blah blah, and, and Kesha's performing, bullshit like that. Like, I don't know. And it's, to me, I think that's where I've made some of my best connections with people, is not even realizing that and I don't even like be too mad about myself when I spend a lot of time. Yeah. Talking to certain people. Yeah.
If it's the right person, right? Yeah. If it's the right connection.
And it usually benefits.
Yeah.
It usually comes to benefit because getting advocates for you is always a beautiful thing in networking, for sure. Yeah.
Figure out, the story that you want to share. Yeah. Your why. And listen, do a lot more listening than talking.
That's what I was going to say. That's all I was going to say. Because you gave a lot of it. So I ain't want to give them none. But you said this, and I feel like you need to say it.
Yeah.
A big thing in podcasting and just our overall conversation that I've learned over time is the best way to get people to talk to you is to pay attention to what they like to say. What they like to talk about. Because they'll keep wanting to talk about it. And if you aren't paying attention, then you'll miss your moment. And now they're looking at you. Now you have a whole bunch of moments where y'all both like, looking at each other like, so. Yep. And you hear three souls, it's like they really not into this. Yes. You really not into this. Yep. But if you can ignite them on something that may not even have anything to do with whatever it is y'all could do together. It's just the fact of like you knowing a thing. Like you don't know how often something as simple as this ring that I wear all the time. I'm in just exchanges with people and I use my hands to talk. They be like, tell me about this ring you got, because I like this. Yep. And they'll bring their attention in, and I'm like, oh, so you like things like this. And I tell them the story of all the jewelry that I wear. It was like, damn, that's cool. I think I might, that was, and then we'll get into this whole thing. Yeah. And because I am a person who tells stories, who talks all the time, but I'm very intentional. Yes. So I know I'm thinking about it as I'm everything that I'm saying. You know, if anything, being a great person in conversation is truly like freestyle.
Yes.
Is you taking in information and you got to regurgitate quickly.
Right.
So if you talking to someone and y'all get it kicking off of whatever it is, allow it to play out.
Yep.
And you'll never know where it goes. It's like, bro, this was good conversation. He was like, I actually want to know more about you.
Yeah. And then
because y'all spent 15 minutes talking about something that got nothing to do with neither one of y'all.
Yep.
It's just a personal interest.
Yep.
So now they know who you are.
Yep.
Now they want to know what you do.
There you go.
So that's a thing.
Yep.
You know, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yep.
I love that. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
This
so
much.
Fun.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. No, I'm glad that I'm glad you shook off all the germs, all the vibes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm glad you feel better.
And I'm so glad I didn't come. I was like, I'm gonna wear a mask and I'm gonna come.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad. I was like, nah,
I'm glad I let you know.
Yeah, I was like, you ain't gotta worry about that. It ain't that deep. We got plenty of content.
Yes.
We can make it happen.
Yes.
But no, I appreciate you coming in because, like I said, we need individuals like yourself who are redefining collaboration in Chicago specifically.
Yes.
Because I think it's necessary and I think it's the missing piece that I believe that Chicago needs.
Yes.
Externally.
Yeah.
Chicago can forever be what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a problem being a people-centered, like a Chicago native people-centered place. I just theorize and see the changes, the investment, the divestment happening in Chicago. And I don't think that people who are loving it, who love everything about Chicago, aren't witnessing it because they see
they only see one thing.
Everything happens gradually. Mm-hmm. I've had to point out to people. I was like, do y'all know how often y'all told me about things that y'all used to do and y'all can't do no more?
Right.
Y'all used to go to skating rinks all the time. Y'all used to go to water tower. Y'all used to go do these things that used to be things that you love that aren't really things either because they don't exist or they literally have changed and shifted to not even serve you anymore.
Yep.
And now you're talking about neighborhoods.
Yep.
Now you're talking about blocks and streets and establishments and places and restaurants that you can't even patronize anymore because it doesn't even exist anymore.
Exactly.
So I guess the projection that I have for all of that is that there has to be an opening up. Mm-hmm. I think I understand the gardeners. I understand the gardeners from a very cultural perspective. Yeah. But understand, trust me.
Yeah.
The people who come here who want to make things happen only want to add to. They don't want to take away. They don't want to make Chicago into something else because it can't happen.
Yeah.
It just can't.
Yeah.
It's too big of a place. It's too many of y'all.
Right.
Trust me, it is not going to be a Ronald's chicken shop coming in from somebody trying to. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If anything, they're going to get laughed out the whole place.
Exactly.
Who the hell is this? I went and tried it. It didn't even have real mild sauce. These niggas had spicy ketchup. It's going to be that.
Yep. So we don't play. Yeah. If anything happened like that, it would be one of our own reasons for things that we don't have anymore. Us not building up for skating rinks again, us not, creating safe spaces like you said, us not patronizing spaces that, are created for our purposes. Yeah.
And lastly, the reason why I say all these things about it being the responsibility of people who are residents and care and live in Chicago and people like yourself, why it's so very, honorable thing that you're doing with your business, it being that centered in the community, is because Chicago is too big of a city. It has too much going on, and all the things that people love and all the people from Chicago who love all those things are all the reasons why nobody's coming to save you.
Right. That's no lies.
On paper, on everything. Chicago is not Detroit.
Yeah.
Chicago is not St. Louis. Yeah. Chicago is not Little Rock or any of these smaller marketplaces.
Yeah.
To where if they go down, people got to move there.
Right.
People have to invest. Outside has to come and build this place back up because people are left. People are leaving. People are gone. So for a place like this, it's not going to ever happen. It's too high up. It's too large. Yeah. And there's too much money somewhere.
There's money.
Even if you don't got it.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot
here.
somewhere.
There's money here.
So, I applaud you for being a part of the change.
Yes.
Really
thank you.
Yes.
And likewise.
Thank you. But no, tell the people how they can follow you, how they can keep up with you, how they can support you in all the ways.
Yeah, so we are the ICan Collective. So the ICanCollective.com, or you can Google ICan Collective and ICan Collective on all social media platforms. So you can follow, see what's going on. Sometimes we'll post events that other people are having in the space, things we support, and we're waking back up and recharging after COVID. So trying to build that community back up. So definitely hit us up, ICan Collective.
I love it. And you can see all the details in the description of this particular episode. Make sure that you, if you don't know, you should know. Go follow all the things that she just said. But also follow me at Kings_Memoirs on all things. Follow the podcast at Simply King Pod. Follow the business page at Life as King on Instagram. For all of your creative production and digital marketing needs. But then make sure that you share this, because I make family-sized content, and you'd be shamed. You sat there and ate that whole bag of chips without giving a little bit to somebody else. So if you're liking what you're hearing, definitely share it. This has been the Soulfully Conscious Podcast from Humans Simply Being Humans. I've been Rodney Perry, also known as King. This has been the lovely Afenya Montgomery. And this has been Simply King. Peace.